So I'm very late to the party.
Okay.
But best in series, Scandal.
Oh, I've never seen that.
You've never seen it?
Between 0 and 7, I grew up with my grandparents. But then we thought those were our parents. I didn't get the best grades because I was constantly bullied and harassed until I left that primary school. And then it got better in secondary school.
But do you feel like you ever looked for love in the wrong places?
Consciously and unconsciously. Even when I wasn't thinking about seeking, my aura was seeking. Something had to go. In order to be Tosin Ogwe, to thrive, CA needed to die. It was a painful death.
Hi guys, welcome to the Mo Chunk Show, where we inspire and educate you to live well and thrive in your faith, career and relationships. And I am joined by the wonderful Tosin Ogwe today, that some of you may know as Christina Andrews. I discovered Christina Andrews in uni.
I know. Oh yeah, I remember we've had this conversation.
Yeah, in university, and I used to just watch all the videos and just be like, oh, God, when will it be my turn, type of thing. And when did we meet? Was it on the socials or something?
I bumped into you once.
Yeah.
It's socials. It has to be socials.
And I was like, oh wow, the Christina Andrews. Wow.
I'm just tossing. I'm just tossing.
Yes, tossing.
No pressure.
But we're gonna get to know you in today's episode. We're going to have a lovely debate and all that great stuff. You guys already know the drill, how the show goes. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Nice.
Welcome.
Thanks
Don't be nervous.
I know. I'm typically behind the camera. So...
Yeah. I can imagine.
Okay, we can do this.
You can do this. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Today's Chit Chat with Mo, I have a question. Today's question is, in a patriarchal world, both men and women lose, where we kind of maintain gender roles in relationships, marriages, partnerships. Is it beneficial for both men and women, or are they both losing in the end?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't want to answer generically for people. I think, funny enough, I had this conversation with my husband today, not in the language that you've used, but in terms of, someone said to me earlier on today that I'm lucky to have my husband around to do school runs and stuff.
Interesting.
And in my brain, I just thought, shouldn't that be standard? Anyway, we're both working, so we should both work as a team and not as the man is out and then the woman is struggling. I don't know about struggle love. So who's losing? It depends. I think in my own circumstances, I feel like we're both winning. No one's losing because we understand each other, but I can't speak for other people. But if you want to look at it on a bigger, broader, I think women have got the worst end of the stick in a way, because I feel like we work harder and we're always having to work harder to prove a point as well. And I feel like also that, not that men have it easy, don't get it wrong, but I feel like, talking for myself, working whilst pregnant, the man didn't have to carry the baby. But I have to go to work because we live in a world, in a country where we both kind of have to work to sustain.
Economically, it's not viable for most families for one income, whether that's coming from the man or the woman. So it makes sense for both of you to be working. And it sometimes feels like the domestic labor then falls more on the woman, irrespective of the economy that we find ourselves in. So there's this whole thing I see online where people are like, oh, feminists they hate men, and they feminism isn't misandry, but they basically say feminists hate men, and they only do it when it's convenient for them. And it's I do get that some might fall into that category, so we kind of pick and choose. I think we're human.
Yeah.
We will do what's in our best interest most of the time. But if we go down to the crux of what feminism is, and it's fighting for I think it's more equity than equality, because I don't think equality can ever be achieved, but equity in the sense of trying to balance out the scales based on like strengths and weaknesses, right? In that sense and in that context and under that definition, I do believe that feminists are also for men. In a sense of a true feminist understands that, you know, sharing the load in whatever sense makes the most sense.
Well, yeah.
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 You know, and in that sense,
Logical.
that means that we are for men as well.
Yeah.
But what's been happening, because there is still this whole chokehold of patriarchy, it ends up that in many cases people are still losing in the fight to share the load. So in a sense of, you know, what you mentioned about somebody saying to you, you're so lucky that your husband, you know, that's because for a lot of people that's not the norm.
No.
So it seems like, okay, women are picking up many things on their side, but in many cases, because of the chokehold of patriarchy, men are not picking up their side as well.
To quantify that though, I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like it's a man's world anyway. So women, we're always going to lose. We're always going to work harder. We're always going to get paid less. That's how I feel. And again, I don't want to get into trouble, but when you look at what a male, you know, colleague is paid over what I'm being paid, there's probably a 5k difference. You know, because A, they negotiated their salary, but B, I negotiated my salary, but
what was the response? Yeah,
I just choose your battles. And I've chosen my...
Choose your battles. And in the spirit of Valentine as well, I'm going to ask one more question.
Go for it.
So there's a phrase, every day is Valentine's Day. There's many like debates around why people say that. So like when Valentine's Day is coming up, there's people that say... money. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it depends again the kind of relationship people have with each other. Every day can be Valentine's Day, but I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say I know the history behind Valentine's Day, and I'm not quick to jump on something I don't know anything about. So I should have obviously over the years educated myself about what Valentine's Day is all about, but I just genuinely do not care. That's me. So if someone argues and say that every day is Valentine's Day, my first response is you're just a cheapskate. But however, it is a day that quote unquote the world has curated for love. Quote unquote, but I think it's more of a capitalist thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely consumerism. But I think any opportunity to celebrate your loved ones, like why not take it? And okay, if you're doing this every day, does that not mean you're spending extra money every day?
Does it have to have money attached?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
It can be cute things, it can be notes, it can be small teddy bear from the pound shop.
I don't know about that one, babes, but yeah. I get the gist.
Yeah.
Love notes.
Yeah.
Showing up in the relationship, honestly, you know, doesn't have to have millions attached to it or thousands attached to it. So I could argue and say, yes, every day should be a day for love, Valentine's Day. But the people who say they just don't want to spend money on their babe.
Pop out. You guys let us know what you think of the questions that we've asked today. So the first one is, in a patriarchal world, both men and women lose, true or false? And the second debate as well is, every day is Valentine's Day. What are your thoughts on this phrase? Okay, so the next segment that we have is called Best In. And this is the part of the show where we recommend something from our week. Anything that we've liked recently. I'm struggling to think of my best in for this week. If there's anything that I've liked.
Music,
you can do music,
Okay.
Best in music, best in series, best in anything that you're loving right now.
On Instagram, I've been pushing Champion lately.
Champion?
On Netflix.
Oh, the series, the best in series.
Culture.
Yeah.
It's just, it made me like happy.
Yeah?
It was so nostalgic. It reminded me of like growing up, you know. It just felt so like I was living back in my past.
Yeah. I saw a couple of episodes when I went to see my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was so it's quite a good series. I need to go and watch it.
You should.
I've just realized what my best in is. So I'm very late to the party.
Okay.
But best in series, Scandal.
Oh, I've never seen that.
You've never seen it?
No.
I've recently been watching it. It's on Disney Plus because I was looking for it on Netflix because Netflix is usually where we watch all these series, but I couldn't find it. And then I asked my sister, "Oh, where do you watch Scandal?" And then she said, "Oh, Disney Plus."
Okay.
So I'm on season 3, and that's like in a week. It's really good. Slow burner for me. I don't know whether you guys have watched Scandal. Let us know in the comments if it was a slow burner for you. But it was like okay because I watched How to Get Away with Murder.
Never seen that either.
Never seen?
No, I'm very Nollywood, babe.
So am I, but I also love dramas here and there.
Okay, I'll jump on
You know, try watching How to Get Away with Murder first.
But I don't want to get away with murder because I'm not murdering anyone.
No, it's not. It's not like that. It's just a very good series. And then Scandal is like similar. Okay. So because I watched How to Get Away with Murder first. I was like, I prefer that. And then from like late season 2, Scandal started to pick up.
Okay.
So
is it like Call of Duty or Line of Duty? No, not Call of Duty. Line of Duty. Like, is it like?
Oh, like the police one.
Yeah. Or a bit more detailed.
It's more the Line of Duty is more based around like good people.
Oh.
Scandal is more around like bending the law. Yeah. Without spoiling it for you guys, but yeah, that's my best in. So best in series for the both of us, right? Because Champion is a series as well.
Correct,
so you guys check out Champion on Netflix and check out Scandal on Disney Plus.
What do people typically would best in? Would it be music?
I normally say series because it's usually what I'm watching. Do you have a best in music?
I do.
Oh, what's your best in music?
I'm listening to acoustic worship.
Oh.
And can I?
Of course. So I like your tattoos, by the way. I didn't even know you were tatted up like this. I love it.
Undercover. Yeah, Breathe You In, Acoustic by Campus Rush Music.
Okay.
So
Campus Rush, they're still about.
I don't even know. I
used to listen to them when I was in uni.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they that old?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not old, but
as in
they've been about yeah.
I really just love. Yes, I'm currently in. I just feel like there's something about acoustic music that, especially worship, that isn't pretense attached to it.
So there's no there's no.
It's just piano and what's those box drums?
Very like small.
Minimized.
Yeah.
So I love it at the minute. So.
Nice. Okay, so acoustic music, Campus Rush. You guys check it out. The crew. So now we're gonna go into deeper with Mo, the main. So Tosin, tell us about yourself, your early life, where you grew up. Before we go into this, just to add a bit more context. So I had my idea of what I thought this interview was gonna be like.
Okay.
In terms of what I know about you. Like that, what everybody kind of sees about you, you know, who's this lady behind the brand and da. So I had my agenda, my ideas of what the questions I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
And then I read your book, Numb.
Wow.
And it gave me so much more of a deeper insight into you.
Wow.
That I'm like, okay, this interview is going to be, it's going to be layered. It's going to be layered, and I want you to be comfortable as well.
Well, please receive my awkwardness.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm awkward because I'm typically behind the camera. So just receive me how you want to receive me.
Sure. So tell us about yourself, your early life, and where you grew up.
I grew up in the UK, but between age 0 and 9, I lived in Nigeria. But between age 0 and 7, I lived in Ibadan.
Ibadan, my hometown.
Come on.
Hometown.
We have our accents.
Yes.
I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. The sir. The Yoruba accent. Kini sir, Jomo yo omo Ibadan. Kini so.
I don't know the rest.
She's like, yeah.
I grew up in Ibadan, and then between 7 and 9, I was in Lagos.
Okay.
Yes. So growing up, I grew up with, between 0 and 7, I grew up with my grandparents. But then we thought those were our parents. Well, I thought those were my parents. I don't know what everyone else within the family thought, but that's what I thought. Yeah. And then it came to light that those were not, those are my grandparents. Yeah. And came to the UK at 9. And so I turned 10. So about 10. I came in August. Yeah. Then turned 10 in September. Yeah. So that's that. That's my 0 to 10. Yeah. And then between 10 and 16, 15, I lived with my mum. And from 15-ish, going close to 16, I lived in a place called the Mash. Basically, I've lived by myself since 15-ish, 16. Yeah. It's called the Mash. And it's basically like a, you're too old to, it's like I'll call it an in-between house, in the sense that, well, you're too old to go into foster care, and you're too old to go into foster care, but you're too young to live by yourself. So you need to live in this manned house that had social workers and stuff. So it's called a MASH.
That's fine. But don't go too far. We're gonna break it down. Okay. Break it down in steps.
No, Allah.
So I'm gonna go back to Ibadan first.
Okay. Yeah.
Or the transition between Ibadan and to Ibadan, Lagos, and then to England. Okay. So the main thing I want to ask here is, what was it like being shipped? That's that's what we call it. Being shipped from a country that you knew and loved to a foreign country, because like it's so weird. Like I grew up in Ibadan as well. Yeah. I also left.
Bumped into
Imagine, I also left when I was 10.
Oh wow!
A day after my 10th birthday, I was on a flight to England. So every birthday marks a new year in this country. So I think similar for yourself, it was like a month gap. Correct, yeah. I was young, but there was still like a mixture of what's happening, you know, emotions, like I've left something behind. So what was that journey like for you, being moved from, first of all, you were snatched from your grandparents' house. Yeah. You moved to London, to Lagos, and then they moved you to London. Yeah. What was that like?
I would say that do you know what? Thinking about it, because I'm very detached from my story. It's bizarre. Like I could tell my story, very blasé, no emotions attached. Not because I don't feel, or maybe I don't know how to feel. I don't know. But I do know how to feel. I just feel like I don't, for some bizarre reason, my brain and my emotions can't intertwine with my story. It's like an out-of-body experience for me, which is kind of like sad a little bit. So we need to do that trauma work. I haven't done it. I've been running away from it. But with that said, if I had to think back at the original emotions I felt, I was scared. I was damn scared, because at the end of the day, that woman was a stranger to me. Right. I'd never met her before. Obviously, she gave birth to me. Yeah. Met her as a child, as a newborn, but I hadn't seen you.
At that time, right? She was a stranger to you, yeah.
Exactly, and because she was a stranger to me, it was really kind of like, I was scared, and no one's ever asked me that. How did I feel? I was really scared as a child, but then I had to learn how to mask that fear and just show up anyway, show up as the good kid and whatnot. So yeah, that's the emotions I felt originally when I got shipped between Ibadan, especially between Ibadan and Lagos. I think that's when I went into panic mode, like, because the transition between Ibadan and Lagos, I was left in the market with bread. I could get bread and cook for hours because they weren't looking for my brother. And I was in this market with maybe these people who were meant to like look out for me. And then they came back later to get me. But that memory is stuck with me. It's like a picture, fresh. Bread and cook. And I was scared. I was asking for my grandparents. You know, that was that. And then between, and because living in Lagos was hell, it was horrible, that I don't even think I even processed the 2 years in Lagos, that coming to it was like, that's why my book is called Numb, because I was already numb by then. So by the time I got on the plane to come to England, I had no emotions. What's that? It's all buried. you know. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's a really good insight into, because I remember like when I moved to England as well. I just remember the lights, and it's so interesting that you mentioned the Coke and the agege bread, because it's like you're too young to really grasp what's going on, but you remember moments.
Yeah.
For me, it was the lights. We were going through a tunnel after we came off the plane, and we'd gone through. We had to. You know, when you're an immigrant, you have to go through several stages,
right,
where they mark your passport.
Okay.
They check your medical record. Have you got a GP? Because obviously we're moving. Yeah, have you got a GP and everything? So we came out finally. I remember it was freezing, and I just remember the lights through that tunnel, and it was like, God. Our lives have changed forever.
You came with family?
I came with family.
Right.
I came
with
my
these people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Of course, in your case, it was like a completely different situation.
Not comparing. I was just trying to understand what your circumstances was.
Yeah. I came with my family, but it's not easy being shipped from what you know and what you're comfortable with. Yeah.
And I don't even think I've adjusted, even though I've been here for all these years. I just there's a sense of me that feels like I have no identity, but now I do, because now I have my Nigerian passport, which is another story for another day. I haven't really I've been to Nigeria twice since, but I would love to go as an adult and experience home, and then take my kids, let them experience home. But at the minute, I feel like I'm confused about. I know who I am now, because obviously, like the Nollywood, I still speak my language. I'm prideful about speaking. Even the way I switch from British to Nigerian accent. That's my pride. But there's another part of me that feels confused and lost as well. So I am scared to go back as an adult without parental guidance, but I'm ready to do that as well. So, okay. So we've spoken about like the emotions attached to like the transition, or like your thoughts and feelings at the time, but like what was it like adjusting to a new country, like being different from everyone else? Let me paint the picture. I came with low cuts, bushy eyebrow, dark, burnt. So the nickname was Babushka, African Babu. The school was brutal. Yeah. Back then, there was no. You see now, you could turn up to school and say, "Who's bullying my child?" And there's resolved. Back then, it was hard. It was so tough. Coming with a Nigerian accent, which personally I don't see any issue with having an accent, because even now, when I go to Nigeria with this my British accent, they could source you out. Yeah. Very easily. But anyways, so it wasn't nice. It was horrid, man. It was horrible, in fact. Let's just call it what it is. And I'm not here to like paint a doom or whatnot, but that's what it was. I did not have a good time in school, and I didn't thrive. I didn't get the best grades because I was constantly bullied and harassed continuously until I left that primary school, and then it got better in secondary school. Black girls, you build your little community of friendships, and I think I started making friends in secondary school, but in primary school, not so much. So you formed your tribe in secondary school. So kids are mean. Listen. No, kids are really, and I don't know where they learn it from, because it's like, we're supposedly innocent at that age, and somehow we know how to kind of pick on someone that's different, the new girl, the othered one. We know how to say, an African accent is funny, and make that person feel bad. I'm just like, where do kids learn this from? We all know where they learn it from. No further comments. I did not say what I did not say. You can't hold me hostage. I hear you. I hear you. That was my experience, It wasn't pleasant, but then it got better. Yeah, as I started to fit in, the accent started to change. I grew hair. Fashion changed. Yeah. Speaking of fashion, I always see on your story your children laugh at you that you always wear black. That's why I'm surprised today you didn't wear black. I gave you white and brown. White and brown, I love it. Listen, all black every day, black and white. Love it. Yeah. Okay, so is that why you wore black and white? No. Literally, I was even surprised when you wore a white top. I was like, we're matching today. Yeah, twinning. So obviously,
growing up, it seems like there was a lot of like instability in your journey. And I'm no therapist, but I know that can sometimes make you seek for love in different places, whether healthy or unhealthy. Do you feel like, obviously you may not have had the right context growing up and as it was happening, but do you feel like you ever like looked for love in the wrong places to kind of fill any voids?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm one of those people that I attract people naturally anyway. So good or bad. So I didn't know how to filter. You know how now we have language for it. Put your boundaries in place. What was that? I didn't have any of that. So if anything went, everything goes. As I was growing up in the UK, I searched. I was desperate to be heard, to be seen, to be wanted, to be loved, and it came in every form, shape, as it wanted to show up. I received it. So if it came as an ugly man, I said ugly man, we'll take it. Because he showed me an attention that I didn't get from maternal or paternal, love. Because that's the foundation, right? I didn't have that. So for me, I was continuously searching and seeking, even consciously and unconsciously. So even when I wasn't thinking about seeking, my aura was seeking. Everything was seeking. I just was attention seeking. But I never attention seeked directly because I didn't know that I was attention seeking, right? It was more of I always had a boyfriend. I always had a man. I always had money. Like, I would do 5 jobs. I just knew that I needed to survive. I would do anything it takes to thrive, so. But I suppose I had some level of boundary. I had boundaries of drugs. Like, I would experiment, but I'd be like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm not about that life, because I've seen, growing up in the MASH, I've seen, people lose their lives to drugs. So for me, there was something in my brain that ticked.
With this one, be careful. Yeah.
Please don't go there. I didn't really have much, growing younger, I didn't have much boundary with alcohol, but as I grew older, I did.
Yeah.
But then also, I found love in church too, in the sense that, all is part of the church community.
Right.
All is part of some form of church community, but a lot of hurt happens in that space as well. Not putting the church down because I'm still part of a church community and we're part of the change, now.
Yeah.
But a lot of the hurt also came from that space, but it came as attention too. I don't know how to explain that.
I understand. You were seeking something.
Yeah.
And you were also finding them, and you also didn't know you didn't know how to filter through them.
No.
Well, this is good, this is not so good, or this is in the middle.
Yeah, so I've had to learn that literally as I've grown up and self-developed and stuff. So yeah. So when I was reading your book, Numb, I was trying to decipher, like, were you living with family? Your living situation was also changing as well. You mentioned MASH. I know I kind of stopped you earlier, but if you'd like to kind of at this point kind of highlight to us, like, what was happening? Because you said you and your brother at some point got kicked. You guys need to read the book. Is it out for release? Or is it's
it
on my
just
website. You'll have to find it. It's on my website.
Yeah.
It's free for download.
Yeah.
But because it's so personal, I'm kind of protected. I don't know how to explain it.
Because you sent me the PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is out there.
Yeah.
But if you know me, then you know it exists.
Yeah.
If you don't know me, then you
it's
don't
not.
know.
Yeah. But if you guys want to read it to kind of have a bit more context, because there was a part where you and your brother were kicked out.
Yeah.
Was that by family?
Oh yeah. Now I'm thinking, what did I write in the book?
It wasn't clear.
Yeah, and my book is not clear intentionally. And the only reason why my book intentionally isn't clear is because at the end of the day, there are relationships that we're trying to repair. And what I don't want to do is to say or write things that, again, has a long-lasting damage and effect on someone else who hurt me, but I'm not in the business of hurting them back, if that makes sense. So it's like, okay, this happened to me, but you don't need to know technically who did it to me. Does that make sense? So so I'm going to skip that question because of that reason. But to give a little insight, by skipping the question but answering a little bit, is we weren't living with family, but then we had to leave because of an incident that happened. And then that ended me in the mash, and then that was life after that.
Right. Yeah. And how did you kind of adjust to that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I really didn't, because between MASH, I did uni. So I was about to start college. So yeah, where was I in MASH? And I'm looking at the timeline. So in MASH, I've just finished secondary school, actually. So started college, lived alone for a bit, then went back where I was before for a bit, then lived with a boyfriend for a bit. Then it destroyed my life.
Oh gosh.
Then lived alone. I lived alone. Then obviously college is 2 years.
Yeah.
Then I did uni. Then I lived in what do you call the
uni accommodation?
No, when you have housemates. So we rented a house, lived with uni housemates, and then I went to live alone because I just didn't know how to live with people. So I went to live alone by myself. Then I met my husband, and then we've lived together ever since. So that's kind of like the living situation has been from. I lived with my brother for a bit as well, and I lived on different people's sofas and houses and stuff. I just lived anywhere.
Wow. It's a lot to take in.
I'm sorry.
No.
Are you okay?
Stop it. Stop it. I'm fine. You're the one that's lived and experienced it, but...
That's why I said I'm detached. I can tell this story, but I'm very unattached to this story. But why do I share it? To help others. Yeah. To know that, look, if I'm still standing, you can. Amen. You know, if I could survive all these and thrive, trust me, you can survive.
You can go through anything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's something going on there subconsciously, though, in the sense of, like, because I've been through some trauma as well, and you guys may know my story. This episode isn't about me, but I've kind of shared. Yeah, I've shared my testimony and like things that I've kind of experienced from my early childhood, and I feel like there is. Even when you said the detachment thing, like I get it. Like since what's happened in my foundational years, there was a time in my life where I was very emotional, like, or let's say outwardly expressive of my emotions.
What did that look like?
In terms of I'd cry, something would go wrong, you know, it doesn't mean I don't cry now, but I just found that I at some point something switched. And it would be like something traumatic will happen, not one tear.
Oh, interesting.
Or I'll cry it out once, and that's it.
Okay.
So it's like something switched, like that detachment in a sense of, if I deep this thing, it's gonna break me. And I'd rather not deep it. I want to acknowledge that it's happened and let it pass. Does that make sense?
Fully. I understand what
because if I start to sit with it, do you understand? I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to come out of it. Do you get it?
Okay, yeah.
So that's like, is it a coping mechanism? Putting that on myself as well, like, is it a subconscious thing to protect? Because even when apparently this is actually like proven that people that go through things when they're younger, somehow there's a part of their brain that turns off the memory.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's why some people have gaps in their memory, especially when they've been through really traumatic things.
Yeah.
You remember it vaguely.
Vaguely. But it's there.
Yeah.
You just need to, again, sit with it.
Yeah.
Sit with a professional to help you process that safely. And that's why earlier on I said, I'm running away from that trauma work because we got close and I was like, I'm not ready. Please, we're not, please. So much is happening now that. So yeah, I agree. I feel like, that's deep. That's deep, you know.
I remember one time, like, something happened to me and I called my friend and I said, you know, I it was so funny. I called her. I was crying as I was calling her. She was like, I'm coming. Did you get it? She said, I'm coming. When she showed up, I was just like, oh, hi.
Ha.
So it was like, do you get it?
It
went so quick.
I wonder what psychologists. What is this called? There has to be a name for it. There has to be some form of explanation for it. I'm not that learned yet to that point to know specifically what it's called, but I could ask my people and try and get an answer.
I think it is some form of detachment. I'm sure it has some fancy name, but there has
to be a fancy name.
That's worth exploring.
Yeah.
But back to your story though. I saw that at some point you were interested in accountancy.
Yeah.
How did that switch to media?
Do you know what? I had this teacher at school, in secondary school, Miss Matimba. I would big her up any day. She literally saw me. That's the first person since my 0 years. That's the first woman that saw me. And she, for some bizarre reason, saw my light, but I didn't see that, you see. So she did everything in her power, because she was my maths teacher. She did everything in her power, because she knew I was not going to pass GCSE, but she made it her business that I passed maths. So I got my maths GCSE. I got 7 GCSEs in the end because of her discipline. But like, there was so much trauma. I didn't even, I couldn't focus, right? So she gave me that oomph. So when I felt like I was on top of the world. So when we did, at school you do the work experience thing, and then so I did accounting, and I fell in love in the accounting firm. That's when my work discipline started. I the Asian man that coached me then, pretty much everything I learnt there, I brought into my real life. It stuck with me. The discipline, how they ran their business, bookkeeping. That's why for me, everything had to be done by the books, very efficient. I loved it. I was just like, right, I'm going to be an accountant.
Right.
And then at uni, when I did, because I didn't get the grades in college either to get straight into uni. So I did a foundation year. And in the foundation year, it's all sciences and this and that. And they had finance management as one of the modules. And I was like, this is it. And then, I don't know what switched. Then someone gave me a camera. That's what switched.
Yeah.
Someone gave me a camera.
There's the passion there. And then
I didn't know it was there. But it was there because in church, I would do media, all the mixing, whatnot. But you know how kids at church, we joke about, we don't know that this is building something in us.
It's a seed that's been planted.
Right? And it germinated because someone gave me a camera one day to take photos at an event. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this thing? And I just fell in love. I was like, forget accounting, I'm going to do media.
Wow.
And literally, I set up my business from there. I was doing printing on the spot. The uncles you see, that was me.
At the parties.
Yes, that's how I started, babe. I started as printing on the spot. I brought my mandems with me. Yeah, that's how it started. Then we graduated slowly. Then they started hiring us to do photos. And then we graduated small. Then they said, come and film.
Wow.
And then so there is a foundation behind CA.
Yeah.
Real foundation.
Real
Training.
foundation.
Yeah.
Wow, printing on the spot. That thing is so funny. What's the concept behind it? How does it work?
You go to, so you're at this party and you see beautiful looking guests. Then you take your camera, camcorder, whatever. You take the photos, right? Then you take the USB out. Back at the old school, back there, you used to take out the USB, put it inside the printer.
Oh, so you carry a printer?
Yes.
Wow.
Then you print, then you cut around the thing and frame it. And then you then give it to the client. So look, you look lovely, £5.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, please go, or here you go.
Yeah.
So it was one of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because obviously, normally, you'd go to a dark room or whatever.
No,
they don't do the dark room thing anymore.
No, babe.
No? Oh, that's really cool. Because I'm always wondering how they print it so quickly.
Yeah, there's a digital printer.
Digital printer. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So how did you know that you kind of wanted to do wedding films full time?
I did not.
Really?
It fell on my laps.
Right.
Me, I'm an opportunity grabber. Remember, hustler, survival mode. Anything that's bringing money. And this one brought money. Sustainability. I had a big team. Do you know what I mean?
Weddings are big.
Yeah.
Normally, when you do videography, you start off in events, small events. Most videographers, they run away from. Well, eventually when they see the money and they if their skill matches, because they require skill.
Correct, yeah.
Because the wedding industry is very lucrative, yes, but it requires a skill to put together wedding films. Like I've done a couple myself, and it's not easy. You want to get the right balance of the team, their skill level, the editing, post-production, you know?
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Obviously, like I said, I had a foundation. I studied films at university, so I know how to edit. Well, we learned all of that at university, and I was quite smart enough to also recruit other university, you know, creatives. So I had creatives on the team who are now your big boys in the industry, and those creatives trained the non-creatives on the team who now became your creatives in the industry now, right? So it was a mix of both. Creatives, training non-creatives, merge. So me, one thing I'm good at is spotting people's strengths and what value they can bring to the table. So for example, that one might be a great communicator, but that one has a good face that everyone likes, right? So it's what value is this individual bringing, and what value can you add to the team? All right, you can join us and we will train you in your weak spots to become strengths. And that was what CA was able to do quite well, actually. So I saw value in everyone that came through.
You built a very credible brand like over the years. How long was it running for?
15 years.
15 years. Yeah. That is a long time.
Young. I'm only 35. So. So I started it young. Yeah.
And how did, like, because you were known, like this is a very well known brand name, and I know many people thought there was a man behind the brand.
Everyone thought. So when we started, because I'm the only woman.
Yeah, but the name is Christina Andrews.
But they thought it was a white woman or white, because Christiana Andrews. Everyone thought it was a white company. So Christiana is my middle name. Andrews is my husband's name. So Andrew, I just added the S.
Christiana Andrews.
That's all it is. Yeah. So it's me and my husband. He would drive us around. Yeah. So I was just like, you need a stake in this. So he drove us around. Before that, though, we were called Wisdom Productions, printing on the spot days. They were moved on from that to Touch of Class, you know, which was TOCH of class. Yeah. And from there, we moved on. But all of this started at practice. I even had a food channel where I was cooking.
Interesting.
Food vlogging. And I used to get paid by YouTube. That was my actual real foundation. That's what I wanted to do. And then wedding films just dropped on my lap. Right. You know, because I filmed I didn't film a full wedding. I filmed the behind the scenes of her wedding that she then merged as part of the wedding. And then someone else saw that clip, and I think she recommended us to. I don't know how people find me, Sha.
Yeah, word of mouth. Yeah, when you do a good job. Usually.
One person found me, and that's how it blew. Literally, Okma and Ayo, everyone knows that wedding. That one wedding is the wedding that took it off, literally. But I've done many weddings prior to that. But it just took one viral wedding. That's how CA went off.
It takes one moment, isn't it, to kind of project you to the next level.
Correct, yeah.
And you just have to imagine, because I think it was Josh Bridge that said this thing that, imagine you're meant to hit on your 100th try, and then you stop on your 99th.
Hey,
and then you miss that moment that kind of, you know, creates and pushes your trajectory to a different level.
That's deep. So you have to keep going. Never give up. Yeah, that's my thing, you know. Never give up until, obviously I gave up on CA in the end.
Yeah. We'll come to that. We'll come to that, don't worry.
But yes. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so that's a good foundation. We're going to go back slightly and then we're going to come back to this.
Okay.
So you described meeting your husband in your book as your first experience of stability since age 7.
Correct, yeah.
Please expand on this further to where you're comfortable.
So when I met Hobbsy, lover boy, when I met my... that's what I call him, lover boy. Yeah. When I met my husband, how old was I when I met him? I was 19. And I just broke up with my ex. The person that wanted to destroy my life. Thank God. Thank God.
Thank God they were not successful.
Hey, man. No, lovely person. Yeah. They were not a bad person. It was what they represented. We were not good for each other.
Got you.
So I'm glad I didn't marry that, because then I would have destroyed, if that makes sense. But they were a fantastic individual. But when I met my husband came with peace. I never had that all my life. he was just like a walking peace, and I don't know how to explain it, but that's what he brought to the table. Literally, just this fresh of breath air. Like when you meet him, he's just calm. 16 years later, he's still calm, peaceful, and just relaxed, and just doesn't have a bad vibe. And he just gave me just this, how do I explain it? Like this confidence, but unspoken. Does that make sense? We've made our poor decisions over the years, but yeah, he might not have been the best communicator. Not, like he has his own weaknesses, but there was just this aura that he had, and that aura was just pure peace and gentleness, and I never had that all my life. And that was what attracted me to him. So yeah.
Even as you're describing it, there was almost like a calm. Did you feel that in the room? No, seriously, there was almost like an USA.
He's my zen. He's my peace. And anytime anyone asks me, oh, why did you choose Andrew? I'm just like, have you met Andrew? He's just calm, and he just knows how to push my buttons, and he's the only one that knows how to really irate me, to lose my mind.
Yeah.
But also he knows how to then turn it back off and be like, all right, babe, like, it's okay. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And obviously, like with the living situations as well. And you said that he was the one that you finally then lived with.
Yeah, stability. Yeah, he brought stability into my life, literally. Even though there are times I'm like, I'm living. He'll be like, okay, cool. But I never leave.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's beautiful. And you've been married for 8 years now? More than?
13.
13 years?
Yeah. So we'll be together 16 years.
Okay.
And we'll be married for 13.
Right.
So we're together for 3 years before we got married. But we got engaged within 9 months.
You got married quite young?
22.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you not scared?
No, I was confident. Like, I got married unconscious. We both got married unconscious. Because the pain we caused each other in the length of our marriage, technically, in hindsight, should we even have married each other? But now, on the other side, yes, because we've worked through it, but we both got married unconscious. If we were married conscious, right? If we married each other consciously, we would have never married each other, because they would be like, you're unstable. He would have seen how unstable I was, right? And he would have been like, I don't want that for myself. And I would have probably seen, the negatives that he brought, along with him, and I would have been like, yeah, that's not for me. But we worked through it, and we found our rhythm, and we're working well together. But that journey has taken us 16 years. So, but we got married quite young.
Yeah, that is really young. But I'm glad that you guys have kind of worked through and found your balance. From the little I see anyway, it seems to be a really good,
he's a lovely man.
Healthy dynamic.
Yeah, he's bestie.
That's beautiful. Shout out to you, Andrew. So I want to kind of ask, before we go back into the CA brand, because I want to touch on why you kind of let it go.
Okay.
I want to touch on how did you heal from all you went through? I know you're a Christian. Was there an element of faith, or was it just therapy, or was it just maturing through life? And as it kind of happened, you just healed as you went along?
Wow. Do you know what? I started my healing. So when did I become a mum? I became a mum at 26.
Okay.
For that, I don't even remember. Yeah, 26. Yeah, because my daughter's going to be 10. Wow, I have a 10-year-old. But my healing journey, I think the process started in my head when I'm thinking about this one because I want to answer it well.
Yeah.
But I feel like motherhood kicked something in me that I wanted it to end with me. I just didn't want it to carry on. I just needed it to end with me. But just because I got pregnant and gave birth, it didn't start there. It's when I hit 30 when I started to write. Like a year before I turned 30, I started to write Numb. I felt like writing Numb is what started my healing journey, if that makes sense. I needed to pour it out somehow. Even after releasing that book, I feel like I went through hell. Releasing that book, I feel like just pissed off the devil, really. And because it triggered people to also start their own healing journey. Like my inbox went on a mad one. Oh my God, I went through that too. Then I started becoming therapist hunter for people. Do you know what I mean? So that's where my passion for coaching came through. But anyway, we'll come back to that another time. Started off with counselling, but faith plays a huge part because there are some things that only God can catch me in those moments, because I don't even know where to start. You know, some of my friends get annoyed at me that when I'm going through things, I don't talk to them about it. It's only when I'm out of it then I bring it to the table. It's just like, because I just don't know where to start, really. So church, God, prayer, counselling, a mixture of everything, sitting with myself, you know, realising that I'm a problem and it ends with me. And my kids are not going to go through this pain. I'm not going to cause trauma onto my children, right? So that's literally what takes my brain. And yeah. And wanting to be here, like wanting to stay alive, to be a mother to my children was so crucial to me. And with my trauma, I felt like I had been cremated, and like I felt like I'd been burnt, cremated, and then imagine being cremated and then thrown in the river to then drown, like that choked, you know, and then I didn't know how to breathe. So I had to learn all of that. And yeah, it was hard, but I had to sit with the reality that there's a problem. Yeah.
No, children are definitely triggers because they represent a generation.
Correct, yeah.
And obviously when you've had such a significant childhood where significant things have happened in your childhood, and you've realized how it's affected you, you're not as blasé about like having kids, first of all, in the first place, or you're not as blasé as I'll just raise my kids anyhow.
No, you have to be intentional.
Yeah. Intentional is one word that is in my vocabulary because I get it.
I'm a very intentional mum because nobody was intentional with me. So for me, I needed to be present. And it wasn't like I became a mum and that. No. I think I only started becoming present when the second one came. I was like, right, there's now two. You know, I better get myself together. Yeah.
I'm glad you did. Well done. It's not an easy journey to go through. Healing is painful. Like,
I'm still healing.
Yeah, it's a continual process. Like, I remember I came across, TikTok. It's a lady that does like physical healing, so like
somatics.
Yeah, so like apparently some trauma gets stuck in your body, like physical pain, and she was like pressing on it, and the screams that come out of
somatic healing.
Yeah.
I have my trauma shows up somatically. So one of my therapists said, "Yeah, that's PTSD," because I don't know how to cry. You know, some people know how to release and cry. I don't know. God, please. I just genuinely don't know how to cry or express in that way. So mine shows up in anger, right? Because underneath anger is another emotion, you know, sadness, frustration, whatever, yeah? And then because I can't get angry, so I start to have physical pain. So my body hurts, joint pain, you know, like non-functional.
Yeah.
Literally, that's why I had to, because imagine my body is literally frozen.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck. Imagine not being able to get up from bed because you're in pain, frozen, you know, from trauma.
Yeah.
So I get it. I know
the body keeps the score.
Yeah, there's a book about that.
Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah. Not too long ago, about a year ago, you announced that, you were letting go of the CA brand. So I saw it transition. I didn't see Touch of was it Touch of
Class?
Touch of Class, and
so it started with Wisdom Productions.
Yeah.
Touch of Class.
So I wasn't there for that part.
Yeah.
But I saw Christiana Andrews.
Yeah.
And then I saw the change to the CA brand.
Correct.
Where you were starting to take on more commercial work.
Yeah.
I thought, this is a really nice transition.
Yeah.
And then we saw the announcement that after 15 years, you're letting go of the brand. And I was like, oh my gosh, why would you let go of this? Something so beautiful. But everyone has their reasons.
And I've chosen your platform to tell my reasons.
Yeah.
because I didn't give a reason.
Yeah. Oh.
No one really knows why.
Yeah. Why? What happened?
A lot happened. I chose me. I just chose. So just to summarize it, I chose Tosin. Wow. I literally couldn't do the persona Christiana Andrews anymore. I just wanted to be Tosin Ogwe. Something had to go. In order to be Tosin Ogwe, to thrive, CA needed to die. Wow. And it was a painful death, but it just had to die. One way or the other. Or I died, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I chose me. That
part of you died. Was it because I saw things about how the wedding industry can be really tough on your body, and is that
Hi, I suffered though. But not be dramatic. I'm not trying to be dramatic.
No, it's not dramatic at all.
But I had to choose me, and I was always sick. Because we're doing long hours, driving car accidents, going back to back from wedding, not sleeping. Over the years, I've been diagnosed with all sorts. Thank God, half of those diagnoses have disappeared. But it fell on my lap, and I gave it my best, but it nearly killed me. I was hospitalized, diagnosed with cardiomyopathy.
And would you say that love healed you?
Oh, big time. Because I feel like if I never met Andrew, I'm also blessed to have a man who genuinely, literally loves not just me, but his girls too, like our daughters. And the way he loves us is very fragile, like very tender.
Chunks of life, chunks of fashion, chunks of entertainment, chunks of relationships, yeah.